And we are live. Welcome to the Political Orphans, the bold new voice of independent media, where left meets right, powered by you, our commenters. My name is Nico Lagan, and I am a conservative. To my left, my co host, Rob Ambrose, a liberal. Our goal is simple: we want to challenge the narrative, reject political biases, and tackle topics that mainstream media won't touch. But above all, we want to create a space where people who disagree can have a civil conversation and find solutions to the problem that we face together. Now, if it's the first time listening to us, yes, we do record for 2 hours a day. So if you're looking for a specific topic, just look at the bottom. The video's chopped off in sections so you can find what you're looking for. But I highly suggest that you stick around and you watch the whole show, because the reason we record for 2 hours is because we take a lot of comments. As you can see right now, the comments have already started. They're already going right now. So stay tuned. What are we talking about today? Well, first off, Mark Carney is asking Stephen Harper's help in dealing with Trump. The food professor is joining us at 12:30 to speak about her dairy cartel. Ontario family sues hospital and staff after their son's death. Doug Ford backs down on issuing their own work permits to asylum seekers, obviously without telling us why. After more than 200 candidates were added to Pierre Poilievre's by-election, Election Canada decided to introduce a new way of voting. And finally, a woman gets attacked by a gang at Water Park. Get your comments ready because the show starts now. What's going on, man?
What's up, my brother?
Oh, my microphone's still working.
Yeah, my mic still works. Everything's good. You almost had a slip up there in the intro, but you recovered nicely. So
which one was the slip up?
I forget. It was right after, right when you got to the. If you're the first time watching us, I don't even remember, but we'll watch it later. But you stumbled on the word a little bit, but you recovered nicely.
You know, I go literally 3 minutes. I go 2 minutes just off a script, and I try not to fuck up. So
yeah.
If I do recover,
it's getting dialed in.
Yep. Hello, humans. What's going on, wise guy?
Hey, wise guy.
Trevor
Benson.
new from yesterday, already in. Looking forward to our discussion today. Please correct this. It is not your discussion. It is our discussion.
Yeah, it's all of us. Trevor says, because Harper was so great, LOL. Yeah, I think it's more funny just now. I mean, to be fair, like, I think I know where you're going with where you're going to be the take on this. It's funny.
I'm not going anywhere. Stop assuming. Just like my gender, you can't assume, bro.
Bold of you to assume my gender.
You know exactly where the fuck I'm going with this.
Oh yeah. It's good to make fun of him and all that, but I also think it's good that he's looking for advice wherever he can find it. In some ways, it's sort of a tacit admission that he's probably in over his head, and I think doesn't know what he's doing. And on the one hand, yes, we can criticize him for that, but I think credit where it's due. I'd rather see a politician reach out and look for help wherever they can, rather than just say no, nothing's wrong. But it's those negotiations are not looking good. If you remember yesterday, we talked about the Europe trade deal, and I was musing out loud. I was like, maybe this will be a blueprint for Canada, because to be honest, if we only got away with this with 15% tariffs, that'd be a win at this point. But then Carney I saw yesterday, he came out and said, I saw a tweet and it said specifically, Carney says, the European deal is not a blueprint for Canada. So I don't know if he watched the show when he was responding to me, but apparently he's not going to go that route.
Oh yeah, see, so I posted about this morning, just saying, did you see his new post? I'm going to just talk about it super fast, but he is dropping the toll on the Confederation Bridge from 20 to like $5. And I'm like, I wrote a post. I'm like, so no deal, no trade deal, no energy deal. Our healthcare is in crisis. We have a housing crisis. We have a problem with our immigration, but the best that I can do is fucking drop the toll. And
Right.
then I just saw that from a page that we both follow. I really like this guy,
Who's
but
that?
the best I can do is
No, lower toll on the bridge. Yeah, I mean,
Oh, come on. Wop, wop, wop,
yeah,
canoe.
wob wob canoe. Yeah, I mean that's if that's your big stimulus plan, I don't think that's going to cut it. It's good news for the people of Prince Edward Island, but I mean, there's like 100,000 people there. The other 40 million Canadians might not
give two flying fucks about it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, I know.
But I'm trying to see the post you're talking about. See if he posted it on his own page.
What's Carney saying?
The thing, yeah, Carney, that the EU trade deal is not a blueprint.
Yeah, it's I think he's just not willing to move on the dairy cartel issue. I really feel like that is a sticking point, and that's kind of sets up nicely for our guest here in a half an hour. If you guys are, if you guys remember from yesterday, we're gonna have the food professor, a Dalhousie University professor. He's professor of what is he actually professor of? Is it trade or is it food?
No, he agri-food. He specializes in agriculture and food. I will give you and thank you for calling him the food professor.
Not the food processor. Yes.
I don't know who said that, but he fucked with me because I won't stop saying that.
It works so good.
I'm just hoping when I introduce him later on that I would do not call him the food processor.
The food processor.
It's not quite the same thing. Just saying.
No, it's definitely
so
not.
he is Dr. Sylvain Charlebois, Agri-Food Analytic Lab, Dalhousie University, and he has a top-rated podcast on top of that. So he is going to be definitely a very interesting guest. And from what I can see, he is not too worried about pissing people off, which I always like.
He'll fit in well here.
So you want to jump right in, or did you have something to say? Something? Hold on. Did you have something intelligent to say?
Oh yeah. Well, no.
I'm sure you have shit.
Yeah. I've got lots to say, but if that's the cutoff, if intelligence, then no. Let's go. Let's just go for it because I'm out.
So let's talk. Let's start by the story of the day. We will talk about Mark Carney asking Stephen Harper to help dealing with Trump. So here's a video. He was in Saskatchewan yesterday, and he tells us how Mark Carney needed his help. So just let me know that you can hear this.
Yep.
Former Prime Minister Stephen Harper says the Mark Carney government asked him for advice on U.S. trade talks. Harper dropped the nugget during a keynote speech to the Midwest Legislative Conference in Saskatoon. The annual meeting brings together leaders from 4 provinces and 11 U.S. states. Harper repeated the advice he gave the Prime Minister's office. Canada is too reliant on the U.S. and needs to diversify its trading partners.
Canada must be seized with the necessity of making sure that we do not export only to you. That's really critical for us going forward. We just cannot be in a position in the future where we can be threatened in this way and not have that leverage.
Energy security is the theme of this year's conference. From public safety.
Hold on, I gotta pause this.
Energy security.
The
I'm on TV.
Often the voice does not match the reporter. They match exactly.
Yeah, they match perfectly.
Oh, energy yes, security. I agree with Bumpy. That dude drives a van.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that's what you meant.
A white panel van with no windows.
Because I listened to the first part of the video. I like to not watch them all just to be surprised. And I'm like,
yeah.
Do you? Where's your neck, bruh?
Energy security. But now that we've gotten that out of the way,
Okay,
we'll talk about the
continue.
important things. Yeah.
Let's continue. The video.
Yeah. We got to be ourselves, right? But we do try to keep it somewhat serious.
Okay.
All right. Easy. Yeah. All right. Let's
We're good.
Start again.
To artificial intelligence. It's also happening as the August 1st deadline for a new U.S. trade deal approaches. The U.S. ambassador to Canada says he's optimistic the two sides will strike a new deal.
When the president and your prime minister are done with this, they will have created, the framework will change, but the fundamental fabric that holds our countries together will continue to be there.
Premier Scott Moe says Saskatchewan is already following Harper's advice to diversify beyond the U.S., but he also believes Canada could increase trade with the U.S. by producing more of what Americans want.
Largely, we have been very focused on diversifying where our exports are going in the world over the last number of years. And I think moving forward, we need to, increasingly look at the fact that, yes, the U.S. is going to continue to be our largest trading partner, but we should not be dependent on it.
The conference runs here until Wednesday.
What a fucking concept he just explained. What a fucking concept. We should diversify, but we should also produce more of the goods that the U.S. needs and, make more business, do more business with them. Cha-ching! Wow. Yeah. Like, what a fucking concept.
Right?
Even him surprised. He's like,
yeah, this guy's like, what the fuck? Whoa. That's common sense, man. Anyways, I gotta go. I got an ice cream truck. I gotta go run my ice cream truck. School's out. School just got out. It's 3:30.
He does look like the type of guy that will never get to go around my son. I can tell you
better
that.
Check
that dude's not getting any close to my son.
Check that guy's hard drive. It's terrible, man. Dude's just doing his job, just like a normal ass guy.
Sorry, bro.
Ripping him apart.
People rip into me on a daily basis. I get to rip into people too because I got a microphone.
Yeah, exactly right.
But what a concept, right? From what a concept from Premier Moe to just say, well, you know what? We need to diversify, but we could also produce more of the goods that they need because they're a good customer.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's no doubt that America is going to be our biggest customer for sure. But 83% is completely different from 40%, right? Like when they're only 40%, then we're not so dependent on them. Then you know what? It was interesting to hear Stephen Harper use that word leverage that we use all the time. We don't have it right now. When your only partner or your only trade partner, basically 83% of all your goods go to one partner. They have all the power because they can just say, yeah, you know what? We're just not interested. And then we're fucked. There's nothing that we really have that they can't get elsewhere. It might be a little more expensive, but, at the end of the day, we have to understand where the leverage lies. And I was just looking up, what our top exports are in terms of like categories. And it's vehicles, it's precious metals, wooden paper products, aluminum, and agriculture. Yep. Other than vehicles, the other four, of course, and oil and gas. The other five are all natural resources, right? Every single one of them has to be exploited, whether it's dug out of the ground, chopped down, or drilled out of the ground. And at the end of the day, the Liberals have to get over this mindset that it is immoral to start exploiting our natural resources. Because if not, we won't have anything to export to anybody. If we're not going to dig our minerals out of the ground and drill our oil out of the ground and cut our trees down. So, we can talk about diversifying all we want, but if we want to diversify our and frankly, Europe's not buying our cars, right? If Europe's buying anything, Europe and China, they're buying our oil and gas, our minerals, and our softwood lumber. That's it. So, we're going to have to, if we want to diversify, we're going to have to start fucking developing our natural resources. And that's going to require a massive fundamental shift in the mindset of the Liberal Party. Because right now they believe, they may not say this, but they fundamentally believe, you can tell by their actions, that it is somehow somewhat immoral, not just bad business, but unethical to exploit our natural resources. And that's what Bill C-69 is all about. And there's no way you can run a country like that. Not a country whose primary source of wealth is its natural resources.
100%. Guys, if you're just joining, we are talking about Stephen Harper admitting in Saskatoon yesterday that he did help Carney in dealing with Trump. At least he provided his advice. We're just talking about how it's pretty fucking common sense, but I like how Harper didn't even address the trade war either. Did you notice? At least in that approach, he didn't talk about it really. He just said we need to diversify, which is...
Was that in America?
Obviously.
I noticed he said the word "you." He said we have to trade with more than you. So I assume it's not nearly as bad. It's not nearly as bad. It's like maybe you're at like 98%. It's not nearly as bad as it was yesterday.
Yeah, but it should be at 0.
Wow.
I'm definitely gonna test a new fucking platform starting tomorrow. Fuck this shit. Fuck this shit.
Well, I mean, the other one seems like it might be better anyways, but like this one is not like what the static that I can hear it a little bit, but it's I don't think it's enough to change a mic or anything. It's still.
Oh well, fuck. But I don't want. It's annoying even if it's a little. See,
yeah.
I probably agree with that. It's. I just wonder if it's not just the settings that are crackling because I have a bunch of stuff running in the background. So, yeah.
Well, keep just fiddle with it. If not, you could just throw on that mic you had yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know if this is better, if this is worse, because I got a bunch of filters running on it to make it sound as good as possible, but it's annoying here.
If it's annoying for them, then yeah.
I'll do some testing after. So give me 2 seconds. I'll come out. I'll be right back.
Yep. All right, we'll take a couple comments in while we wait for Nico to get back. Bumpy Johnson says under Harper, our dollar was damn near on par with the USD. You can't see the exact moment our dollar crashed with the election of Trudeau. Been struggling to see 75 cents. Yeah, I wonder why. I think it was even above par. I seem to recall it being like $1.06 as at least for a time. That was around 2007, and of course, a lot of shit happened in that year, namely the of course housing market crash that kind of fucked everything. If you remember that time, though, I think all natural resources were just going gangbusters. I think oil was up to $150 a barrel, and if you think of that compared to today, that's $150 and $2007, which is probably an equivalent of over $200 a barrel, which is, of course, why I think that our dollar, the Canadian dollar, tracks the price of oil fairly well. Yeah, I'm not sure how much of that is Harper's fault or how much he can take credit for. But just as a broadly speaking, I think Harper by far had a better sense of the economy than Trudeau does. As I said before, it just really seems ever since Trudeau took over that they've gone on a moral crusade against oil and gas and against digging our minerals out of the ground. And that's just idiotic. You do that when you're the head of a country whose primary wealth is in its natural resources, and you see what we see when we look at the last 10 years, 1% GDP growth over 10 years. And that's just not 1% a year, which would be bad enough. That's 1% over 10 years, which is just mind-blowingly bad. I don't understand how the Liberals got elected with that kind of a track record on the economy.
You know exactly how they did get elected.
Well, yeah, I do.
They got elected because they were scared of Trump. That's it. That's the only reason. Fear. Because at the end of the day, it's out there that Carney's been around for almost 5 years now. He was the economic advisor to Trudeau. So this is nothing new, right? Like he's here to save us from the mess that he created while being behind Trudeau. Like, are you fucking kidding me? But still, people are just scared, so they will buy whatever the fuck the liberals are selling because Poilievre is as bad as Trump, right?
Yep. Wow. I mean, it was ridiculous that people bought that, but that's how it goes, right? Any marketer will tell you best way to sell something to people is fear, and you know, Carney did that, and he did it well. Hard to say who's. In some ways, can't even blame Carney for it. You know, blame the people that voted for him. That said, Carney has been. I don't think he's been as bad as Trudeau so far. He seems to be tacking to the right in some decisions. Like, I don't think Trudeau would have gotten rid of 70,000 government employees, or however many he's getting rid of. My complaints mostly about Carney are less to do ideological and more to do with competence. You know, it's one thing to use the fear and the elbows up nonsense to get elected, but once elected, he should have understood, okay, now it's time to put that shit away, be an adult, and deal with America as, you know, with respect and as our largest trading partner. And he never did that. And now we're seeing what happens. You know, and clearly, you know, this Trump is not Obama. He's not Biden. He's not even, you know, George W. Bush. All those guys probably would let personal slights go. Trump isn't gonna. It's just not his personality. He takes everything personally, and you can argue whether that's stupid or whatever, but that's just reality, and you have to understand that. And Carney didn't, and he thought the elbows up thing was gonna fly in a negotiation room with Americans, and now it looks like we might not even get a deal at all, and just be stuck with a flat 30% tariff, which is, you know, the worst of all worlds.
But like I said before, man, again, this is where you and I will completely disagree. I think this is all on purpose. He's not an idiot. As much as he's making it look like he's clueless, that he actually needs Harper's help, he doesn't. He knows exactly what he's doing. And
you think it's like theater?
100%. He's here to finish what Trudeau started. I say this all the time. I mean it. He's not here to fix the economy. If he was, he would have invested his own money in Canadian businesses, which he didn't. Follow the fucking money. 91% of the companies invested in are in the US, or the rest is in overseas. He only has 0.5% of those companies are here in Canada. That tells you everything you need to know. As we said before, fuck your politics when it comes to money. Nobody gives a fuck about who you're voting for if it's a matter of making fucking money. And the fact that Harper is not Harper, sorry, but Carney, all of his businesses are in the US, that tells you a lot. He doesn't care that the Canadian economy tanks, because it doesn't affect him. Plus, I don't think he's going to be here for the full 4 years. I don't think that was the plan from the get-go. I really believe the more I see him do what he's doing, or the lack thereof, should I say, the more I'm convinced that he's going to be gone within a year or two.
Oh, your mic just cut off at the last second there. See if it's just a mute issue. But yeah, maybe it's time to try that other platform. Take a couple questions here. We've got the guys. If you're watching, if you're just tuning in, we are talking about Stephen Harper's getting the call from Mark Carney. Carney looking for advice, of course. And we have, in just about 10 minutes, we got the food professor coming up, who's going to talk to us about the dairy cartel. There's a couple questions, couple comments here from the audience that we'll take here. Geez, lots of comments. It's got to take me a second. There was one. Yeah, Bumpy Johnson says there's no alternative to the U.S. as a trading partner. That's isolation. There's isolationism. You should try to diversify with Europe. Either way, you'll be paying more for less despite America. Yeah, I mean, we should be diversifying our economy. We should be selling to more people, of course. But there's never going to be an alternative. America's always going to be our top selling partner, just because of where they are. They're so close. They are the biggest consumer economy in the world, and you absolutely want access to that market. It is political malpractice to remove that market from us just to protect, say, the dairy cartel. If that's in fact what Carney's doing, I suspect it is. that's not factual. Like that's not that isn't proven yet, but we will see. Trevor Benson, what trade war? They have the consumer base we need. Yeah, I mean, it's not, we don't really have an option, right? There's just no one, we cannot even come close to making up what we would lose if we lost access to the American market just by selling to Canadians. So that's why a lot of the whole elbows up stuff, buy Canadian. Yes, of course, that's probably a good idea to buy Canadian, but it's not, that's okay for people to do as consumer behavior. But as government policy, that cannot be that can't be the Canadian government's policy to go elbows up and just say, oh, we'll just buy Canadian, and that'll be it. Trevor Benson, if we do not use our resources at a massive level, we can never dig ourselves out of $1.3 trillion, and that's exactly correct as well. We are fundamentally we don't really have a tech sector. We don't really have a major manufacturing base other than automobiles. It's all natural resources. That's the only game in town. And if you're going to run a country like that, you can't have an attitude that is opposed to exploiting your natural resources. It's idiotic. It's as if Silicon Valley, the leader of Silicon Valley, decided that tech was an immoral thing, and they put all kinds of rules in place to limit the proliferation of tech companies. That's the bread and butter down there. This is our bread and butter, natural resources, and to have a government that feels like it's fundamentally immoral or unethical to exploit our natural resources is as close to shooting yourself in the foot as any country can get. Trevor Benson, Carney is number 3 in the WEF. Yes, he's definitely. I mean, it seems like they all are. Even Poilievre's got some connections to that. Wise guy. Remember, Carney was head of the Bank of Canada under Harper's reign. It was very likely they're friends. For sure, Harper was pro-U.S. and now is talking about getting away from that. Yeah, I mean, look, obviously, if you've been watching for a while, me and Nico have slight difference of opinions about Carney. I don't think the guy is inherently evil. I don't think his job is to tank the Canadian economy. I think he's just stuck in liberal. He's got his hands cuffed in what he can do as leader of the Liberal Party. Frankly, I thought in a lot of ways he seemed like a more natural conservative. But he's him and Harper clearly have some relationship and some sort of friendship. And so I think that, at least he's, in my opinion, I like to see him reaching out and getting advice from other people, especially from the opposite side of the aisle. Now, could it be theater, as Nico thinks? Absolutely, it could be. By no means.
It all is. It all is. It all is theatrics, just like Katy Perry going on a date with Justin Trudeau yesterday. Like, same thing.
Did she actually?
I just saw that as my laptop was rebooting.
It's so ridiculous.
But this is what we're talking about. There you go. Justin Trudeau is on a date with Katy Perry, which to me, Justin Trudeau's a homosexual. He's just he never came out yet.
He needs a new beard.
Oh, I love that expression. But though, to go back to what you were saying, to me, it's not surprising that he asked Harper, because at the end of the day, they work together, right? Yep, people forget that Carney was the governor for the Bank of Canada under Harper, so they know each other very well. Just remember, do you remember that when they did the minister sworn, and then you had Harper sitting right next to Justin Trudeau, and they were shooting the shit? They were actually teasing each other, just like Trump when he's sitting next to Obama. They're almost giving high fives to each other. It's all fucking theatrics.
They're all buddies. They're all buddies.
It's all a big group that we're not part of, and they play the game. But you know what I find the funniest about all of this, and maybe we can talk about that until the food professor shows up. But I was wondering, as a guy that wants to be the party leader, Pierre Poilievre, what the fuck is he saying about this? Well, you know what he's saying about Harper helping Carney? Sweet fuck all, nothing. There's nothing on his, because it happened yesterday, right? The news is from about 18, 17 hours ago, and there's nothing. you look on his platform, it's just him smiling away and just looking very awkward. I see that the food professor has joined us, but I just wanted to show you one picture, and you tell me that he doesn't look awkward. Like there's a picture with a family I saw earlier, and he just looked like, even this one, like
yeah, you know, he
Doesn't
hates
he?
this. He hates this so much.
he does not look comfortable at all, right?
Photo ops with the peasants. He
And-
is not into it.
The photo with the peasants.
Yeah.
You know, you guys can't see him, but Dr. Charlebois is in the back right now, and I can see him laugh. So I think we're gonna have a good time. I think that guy has a really good sense of humor because, again, he's laughing right now. So might as well. He's bang on time. Might as
Bring him
well
up. I just gotta run in.
introduce
I just
him.
realized my burner's on, so just give me
Yeah.
1 second.
Of course it is. The food professor, Sylvain Charlebois. Bonjour. What's going on?
Bonjour, Nico. How's it going?
Good. You?
Very good. I'm actually at the cottage in just north of Montreal. It's 32 degrees, sunny out, and I'm about an hour away from being on my bike all afternoon. So life is
Beautiful.
It's
Beautiful.
a tough life, huh? So,
Yeah.
so Rob is in the east. I'm just outside Montreal. So I guess we're pretty close to each other.
good. Yeah. Where are you, Rob?
I'm in Fredericton, but I grew up in Halifax, so I'm quite familiar with Dalhousie University. My sister just went to medical school there, actually. So nice to see that.
Also, there's so
Hello,
she's
Tiger.
the smarts.
Yeah,
of
she's
the
the smart
family.
one in the family. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So before we go, how do we call you? Because I like the food professor, by the way. I think it's a great name.
Well,
So,
I mean, it's I'm called the food professor for people who can't pronounce my name, but
Sylvain
Sylvain is
Charlebois.
fine.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
pretty French. That's pretty.
Yeah. It's just
Um,
that's
I
the
remember
reason
the reason why I'm called the food professor is that I think about 20 years ago, I was in Calgary and the MC at the time couldn't pronounce my name. And he actually came up with the moniker food professor. And in the audience, there was the editor of the Canadian Grocer, a well-known magazine in our field. And she came over and said, well, I loved your talk. Love to see you write an op-ed every month in our magazine. Are you up for it? Sure. But you got to call it a name. Well, I don't know how to call it. Well, I'll call you the food professor. So it stuck. It stuck.
it's a great name.
I agree. I like it. It's one of the guys in the comments, because we do have a lot of comments. Like you can see them at the bottom and you see them on the right. But one of the guys last week called you the food processor.
The food processor.
The food processor, and
Yeah.
I've been
It's
just
stuck.
hoping I did not mess up the introduction and call you the food processor, but
Yeah, we were going over questions earlier before the show.
whoops.
Yeah. Oop.
Yeah, actually,
So-
it's a mistake that a lot of people make. To be
Yeah.
honest, yeah, because
Oh, cool.
both words are pretty similar. But I do process a lot of data.
So
But
there you go.
yeah,
So it
but
works. It
my name
works.
is the food professor for sure. I have and if you look me up on X, my handle is the food professor on LinkedIn as well. And so
It's a
yeah.
great name. It's absolutely a great name. So Rob and I have been talking about the dairy cartel, or the supply management that we have here in Canada, especially because, Trump is always talking about it during the tariff, that as a way to try to put more tariffs on us. And I did a research, and you're the number one voice that came up to talk about this. So that's why, thank you for being here, by the way. From what
my
I
pleasure.
see,
Yeah, I was intrigued by your show. Actually, it looks great.
by the way, this is the thing, right? Maybe to tell you, Rob's a liberal. I'm a conservative. So Rob, the liberals are too woke for his
A
taste.
a common sense liberal. There are some of us
It's nonsense. A common sense liberals call me conservative, right?
left.
There's not. It's not. But the whole point is that he's a common sense liberal. I'm a Christian conservative, so I'm the complete opposite side. And every day we have conversation about what's going on in politics and in the news, and we debate it, and we do it live with our audience.
Debates
that
are
comments and
great. Debates are
that's
great.
that's the whole
Yeah.
point. So we wanted to have you on because we've been talking about the food cartel, or the dairy cartel, and we came to the conclusion that the average person, the average Canadian, has no clue what it is. We don't really understand what it's about, why it's there. So we figured I wanted to find somebody with balls that had the courage to tell the truth, call it out for what it is. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad, right? That's the whole point of the show. Is you can say whatever you want. You're not going to hurt our feelings. You can swear. You can not swear. Totally up to you. But it's open. Like fuck. There you go. The door's open. You can say it as many times as you want. But the point is that we have a few questions for you, but you can. How much time do you have, by the way? Because I think I booked you for half an hour. But
yeah, half an hour is the time I have for you.
Okay,
I hope it's
perfect.
okay.
Yeah, it's good. It's good because if we get along, we'll have you back. We like to have friends of the show. We have a bunch of people we invite back on when we need the help.
I mean, do you really want to talk about supply management for like 3 hours? Really?
That's the type of audience. That's the type of audience that we have. Actually, we have a very, very. I don't know how we did it, but our audience is smart. I don't know how we figured it out, but our audience is very smart. But
a couple of yahoos in their kitchens not talking about whatever the fuck. But yeah, it's not how it works.
So.
Just before you go, Nico, I was just going to say, and we have talked a lot about the dairy cartel, as we call it, or supply management, in the context of trade, because it seems to be in the news a lot lately. And we'd also like to get. So I thought it was going to be really interesting to have you on, just to give us the context of what this system's all about, how it came to be, who it helps, who it doesn't, and how it situates into trade, and just sort of what your opinions are on that, because it seems to be a sticking point. And it seems like if that's the reason why we don't get a trade deal, personally, I think that would be a huge mistake. But I would like to hear your opinions on these things. I think Nico's going to lead us off with a question or two here.
Simple from the top. What is our supply? If you can explain to us elevator pitch, as we call them, of what is our supply management or dairy cartel, as we like to call it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So again, first of all, thank you for the invitation, guys. I really appreciate debates, and of course, supply management is an important issue. It's an issue that I've been studying for almost 25 years now. And so marketing boards, we have plenty of marketing boards in Canada, over 130. Most people don't know that. And marketing boards, it's about countervailing power for farmers. Farmers are price takers, and they seek protection once in a while to get the best price possible for their products, because farmers don't control anything really. They harvest, they go to market, and they take whatever price they're being offered. And so that's basically how farming works. So they set up these marketing boards to get protection. Now, supply management, as we call it, the SM5, because there are 5 sectors under supply management. We often talk about dairy because dairy is 80% of cash receipts under supply management. So you have eggs, you have chicken, turkey, and broiler eggs as well. So those are the other 4. The other 4 we don't talk about much because they're very competitive already. I mean, they're vertically integrated. They work with processors. They innovate for consumers quite a bit. And frankly, prices are very similar to the US, but not dairy. Dairy is different. Dairy prices are very high, much higher than what you would find in the US right now. So that's why the focus is mainly on dairy. And I'll stick to dairy because I think there's a lot of issues with dairy right now, to be honest. And that's why Donald Trump is after dairy and talks a lot about dairy. Now, to be honest, I actually think that not only most people don't understand supply management, but most people who write about supply management don't understand supply management. And President Trump doesn't understand supply management. Most of our politicians don't understand supply management. I actually can think of about 2 or 3 politicians that do understand supply management very well, and I've actually had discussions with them one-on-one over the years. Danielle Smith is probably the one person who I know understands supply management very well. She has an opinion on it, of course, but she understands it very well. And when she was a broadcaster, a radio broadcaster, that's when her and I interacted a lot about supply management. And Maxime Bernier is the other one Now, Maxim and I, we disagree fundamentally on what to do with supply management. We both agree that it's an inefficient model. He believes that we should abolish supply management overall. I don't subscribe to that view at all. I do think that there are inevitables. We are north of a superpower called the United States. If we are to end supply management, it really means that we're asking Canadians to start drinking American milk and eat American products almost overnight, because our sector is just not competitive at all. It will just collapse. And I don't think that Canadians want that. So how do we come up with supply management 2.0? That's always been my approach to supply management. It's somewhere in between. But right now in Canada, we have this very highly polarized debate around supply management. On the one side, you have the dairy farmers of Canada basically stating the status quo, using false arguments, false beliefs that this system is perfect. It is not. It is far from perfect. And on the other hand, you have the Maxime Berniers of the world claiming that supply management is costing us more money, it's inefficient, and we should get rid of it altogether. That too, I think, would be a mistake as well. So here we are facing President Trump with no plan B, no plan at all to reform supply management. And that's why a lot of people in Canada are panicking, starting with dairy farmers and politicians.
Well, I think it goes to the next question very well, actually, because
now I didn't explain what supply management was, in fairness to your question.
Oh, yeah.
Simply, supply management is a regime allowing a country to produce what it needs.
Sure.
It's as simple as that. So you have a quota system. The quota system, this is very important. The quota system is managed by provinces. Tariffs are managed to protect, of course, if you're producing what you need to protect your market. So you have high tariffs on imports. That's the feds. And the feds is also responsible for setting prices at farm gates. So the Canadian Dairy Commission, which is a crown corporation owned by you and I, so the CDC, not the CBC, the CDC is responsible to set farm gate prices so dairy farmers can get a fair price for their work. So that's, in a nutshell, that's how supply management works.
I just have a quick question on clarification there, Dr. Charlebois. So you said
it's Sylvain, by the way.
Oh, Sylvain, gotcha.
Yeah.
So your definition there of supply management was a way for the whatever the group is that set up, I don't want to call it a cartel, but to give us what we need. But would it not also be true to say what we need, but not as defined by the market, as defined by someone in accounting somewhere, and also no more than what we need? Because we've seen videos here of farmers dumping 30,000 liters of milk. So they have a target, but it can't even go over the target. And if it does, down the drain. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. Everything you just said is absolutely accurate, I would say. And ourselves with McGill University, which is where I'll be spending my next year in Montreal, we actually released a study in January showing that cane dairy producers are dumping anywhere between 600 million to 1 billion liters a year, with supply management. And so dairy farmers, their response is, well, the Americans dump too. Well, they don't have supply management. That's one thing. And secondly, cows don't have taps. So surely we're dumping milk. Their response is they're not dumping milk. Dairy farmers are not dumping milk. Well, you just mentioned, we just saw a guy dump 30,000 liters of milk because he was asked to dump 30,000 liters of milk. So there's a lot of dairy farmers Canada have actually gone. They've gone so far. They're willing to mislead Canadians, misinform Canadians, just to protect the virtues of supply management, because they know that Canadians actually don't understand the regime, but they trust farmers. So if dairy farmers are saying that to them, it means that probably it's good for them. But there's so much misinformation out there given to Canadians, unfortunately.
Is it, at the end of the day, if we boil it down to the simplest denominator, would you say that the only reason that the dairy cartel or supply management is there is really to prevent the U.S. from outbidding us in a free market? Is that we cannot directly compete with the U.S.? Is that what it is? Is that the idea? Is that the sales pitch at the end of the day?
The supply management has nothing to do with the U.S. And by the way, this argument out there saying that President Trump is out there to destroy supply management, he's after supply management. He's not. It's nonsense. Anybody who said that doesn't know what exactly is going on here.
Be careful. People are going to start calling you a MAGA supporter. Be careful.
Yeah, the far right. Yeah.
I do not care. I've been doing this for 25 years. I've been called all sorts of names. I don't care. I say what I think, and I respond to questions the best I can. The President Trump's approach to geopolitics is something that Canadians don't necessarily appreciate right now, given the information that are given to them. I don't think they understand exactly what is going on here. Donald Trump is not only a transactional president, but he doesn't believe in multilateralism. He doesn't believe that in a zero-sum game when it comes to trades. He doesn't believe any of that. And I think it's important to appreciate that and frankly respect that, because Donald Trump represents 25% of the world economy. 25%, a quarter of the world economy. We're not even at 2%. So, but Donald Trump will use wedge issues to get what he wants. And one of them for us is supply management. Like, think about it. Do you think that we want to sell more dairy to Americans and vice versa? Do you think Canadians would want more American products into their grocery stores? No. And in the US, they have too much milk. So economically, it doesn't make any sense for a president to break up supply management, but he knows now that it's really bothering Ottawa, and he knows that Ottawa is not ready for supply management 2.0, and that's why he's using supply management to get what he really wants. And what he really wants, and well, Rob just said it before I came along, resources. That's what he wants.
Natural resources, and I think you hit the nail on the head there. We that's one of the themes we have here with Carney. It seems like he really misjudged Donald Trump, and he's got a certain personality. He's petty. As you said, he's transactional. He takes things personally, and we can complain about how ridiculous that is to be president and be like that. But the fact of the matter is, it is the reality on the ground. And I think Mark Carney made a miscalculation when he went into these negotiations. I think he thought he was going to more or less dealing with a typical American president, and Donald Trump is absolutely not like that.
I mean, I'm not a member of any political party, and I try to see different angles to this. In fairness to Prime Minister Carney,
yep,
I would say I'm not sure he misread Donald Trump.
Okay.
He had a legacy called the Trudeau government, and that's a really hard legacy to manage. I mean, it's been tough over the last 10 years. And Mark Carney, who is more to the right, let's be honest here, he's more of a conservative
absolutely
prime minister. He's inheriting a lot of baggage, and at the same time, he has this affiliation with Europe and the World Economic Forum. He's part of that society, and he's been very outgoing. I've actually had discussions with his wife as part of this a few years ago on her podcast, and so he does recognize that politically, and that brings a lot of bias and baggage to his I would say persona as a prime minister. Now, what he needs to do is to manage expectations. He came in and won the election based on false expectations, saying that he's the best negotiator, that he's willing to, he's able to get the best deal possible for Canada. You cannot negotiate with Donald Trump. It is impossible. No. You have to cope with him. And that's the false promise. That's the one mistake he did, I would say. It's to say to Canadians, give me the mandate because I'll be tough with Donald Trump. You cannot do that. No one can. I would say all the leaders around the world, I would say that probably the top leader that I've seen performing with Trump that has done very well is President the president of Mexico. Her name escapes me, but anyways,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Sheinbaum.
Yes,
And so she's been very forceful. She's been honest with the Mexican. I was in Mexico in February, and she's been very honest with Mexicans, saying this is going to be tough. You cannot negotiate with Trump, and she's been open with Trump, saying this is not a style I appreciate dealing with. Instead of just saying, instead of saying like Carney's been trying to play nice with Donald Trump, and he's seen now by Canadians as a two-faced prime minister, and that's something that needs to change as far as I'm concerned if he wants to deliver.
The thing is he had to lie in order to win, because you cannot go from being Trudeau's economic advisor for 4 or 5 years and then arrive on the scene like a fresh face saying, I'm going to save the economy. Brother, you were involved in all. You were behind the scenes. So you're as responsible as Trudeau is. So that's the only way he was able to get in power, is to lie to Canadians, to the elbows up movement, to say, I'm going to stand up to Trump. Yet, even on a ladder, he can't stand up to Trump. So, but you're absolutely right. We don't have any leverage, right? I'm just happy that at least Harper admitted to it yesterday, because we've been saying it for 4 months now. We have no leverage, no matter what. Even if we wanted, what do we bring to the table? They buy 75% of our exports. What do we bring to the table? Zero. We need them more than they need us right now. That's a fact, right? We need to become more self-reliant. No questions about it, but that's a medium to long-term goal.
The thing about, I mean, I'm concerned about Ottawa and Prime Minister Carney and his cabinet, but I'm mostly concerned about Canadians as a whole, because I do think, because I go to the U.S. I've been to the U.S. 3-4 times the last 6 months. I don't know about you guys, and
spent half my year in the U.S. So yeah.
So but I've in the last couple of years, I've grown concerned about how many Canadians, not all Canadians, but many Canadians see themselves as morally superior to the
Americans.
And which fueled the elbows up campaign, let's be honest. And to me, that's not healthy at all. I mean, Americans are different, but they're not morally inferior. And this is something that really, I think, has fueled the elbows up campaign. And Mark Carney, to your point, Nico, I think took advantage of that momentum and really didn't resist much, because it did help his political cause.
And we've talked about that. And you know, you could say, sure, that was a good political strategy to get elected, but once he got elected, he surely should have pivoted. No, like kind of understood, okay, this was fine for the election, but I can't go down there elbowed. Like, I remember one of her first speeches, he seemed very, even after he won, he seemed very, just basically the vibe to me felt like, fuck America, we're going to shift over to Europe. And that seemed like a huge mistake, in my opinion. And so
it was strange. Yeah. It was strange.
Yeah. Do you think that there's been a pivot internally in terms of Carney's team? Because reading what the things coming out of these negotiations, it seems like they're just flummoxed. It seems like they don't know what to do.
I know that your conservative audience will disagree with me, but I do think that he came out, when he was elected on April 28th, he came out with a stronger cabinet than what Trudeau had, to be honest. I think I saw there are some weaknesses for sure, but it was a stronger cabinet. So that was a good start. But Rob, I mean, yeah, the trip to Europe and signaling that we need to get closer to Europe, an old continent. And from an agri-food perspective, which is my field, I can tell you straight out, dealing with Europe is extremely, extremely difficult. Yeah. Given all of the regional economies that they have from a food perspective, it's extremely difficult to deal with the EU. However, I mean, yesterday we learned that the EU actually made a deal with the US at 15%. I saw that as good news for Canada.
Yeah.
Because we do have a trade deal with Europe, and perhaps we could become a little bit more competitive with the US if we get a good deal with the Americans. That's the big if that we have to face right now. But I do think that overall we need to become more strategic. The concern that I have is that I absolutely think that Canada, and I'm sorry to say, I'm going to use my first swear word here, Canada sucks at geopolitics. We suck at it. We don't understand the world order, how it's shifting. Trump is shifting all of it right now, and we need to adapt as quickly as possible. And I fail to see any effort to recognize that right now.
I want to bring it back to the dairy cartel, because we'll have you back on if you're interested to talk geopolitics, because obviously we talk about this for 2 hours a day. So
I'm fascinated by this conversation.
I definitely would welcome to have somebody.
And by the way, if you've been using the word cartel for a while now, if you're not getting any nasty emails from dairy farmers, you will eventually.
Really? They don't like it, eh?
It's fine.
I mean, listen. This is the reality, folks. So for many years, I've been at this for 25 years. Early in my career, you just hinted that supply management was a problem. You had threats.
It's a third rail in Canadian politics.
I mean,
right?
I live in Halifax. The Halifax police came to my door twice.
No,
because of threats I received to myself, to my wife. Oh yeah, no, this is serious stuff. But here's what's really interesting. In the last, I'd say 3 years, I've been very vocal about supply management. I've not received one nasty email, one nasty DM, not a one phone call. Nothing. Things are shifting. More and more people are questioning whether or not this regime is a good thing or not.
It's either that, or because there's a lot of people like me out there that make you sound very normal. I question everything. And the dairy cartel is the last person that I worry about their opinion.
Listen,
I get it.
First of all,
you're welcome.
Let's be clear about the regime. The biggest victims are the dairy farmers themselves. Okay, there's a difference between boards and dairy farmers. We got 9,500 dairy farmers that don't understand the politics of supply management. The boards are the corrupt ones. The boards are the ones with the power, with the quotas. Remember, I said who owns the quotas? $48 billion worth of quotas. The boards. They control the wealth, and they do everything in their power to preserve that wealth as much as possible. I'd say that most dairy farmers are out there doing great work, working very hard. I worked on a dairy farm when I was a kid. It's hard work. I have a lot of respect for these folks, but the politics around are run by boards, and they're the ones really holding everyone back. Everyone.
So, because this is exactly what the question I had for you. So at the end of the day, it sounds to me that it's not good for the farmers. It's not good for Canadians. It's only good for the boards, as you call them. So are they
Dairy Farmers of Canada, Dairy Farmers of Ontario, in Quebec, la Fédération des producteurs de lait du Québec. That, when I say boards, those are the people sitting on those boards. Those are the ones that are after guys like me, for example.
So is that why they call it a cartel? Because it's similar to the old school Italian mafia taking over. How do you call them? They ran the
boroughs?
No. You know what runs companies now? They all have organization that protects the workers. I don't know why I'm wearing.
Like unions.
Unions. Is that not? Are those boards just like unions that are run by mafia in the back end, and they're like, don't worry, we will put ourselves between the farmers, the consumer, and we will tell you what's best for you.
But it's hard to call it a mafia because it's all government sanctioned. Folks,
it's the same thing.
This is government sanction. It's all legal, which makes it even more ridiculous.
So the question then is, if it's bad for farmers, dairy farmers, and bad for Canadian consumers, why would we keep this system? Because I know that you're not advocating for eliminating it. You were mentioning supply management 2.0. Is that a well-defined term? Do we even know what that would look like? Are there any proposals out there that make sense to you?
Oh, absolutely. We published with Nearso Guelph Supply Management 2.0 3 years ago, a roadmap to a much stronger dairy sector. Now,
what does that look like, sort of in layman's terms?
So, a few weeks ago, I got a phone call from a well-known politician. I won't name which one. It's been mentioned on your show, I think, a couple of times.
Pierre Poilievre.
One of them.
Or
the person asked me.
Those are the two that we thought. And Mark Carney.
So I was asked, if you were to do one thing to make the dairy sector more competitive in Canada, what would you do? If you're God, okay, and you look down on Canada and you say, I want to fix the dairy sector, I want to make it competitive, what would you do? What's the one thing you would do? And my response was pretty simple. I would basically harmonize the allocation of quotas nationally. Just do that, and guess what's going to happen? Farmers wouldn't want that, because what would happen is that you would see the wealth of the dairy sector go west. Why? Because you have two dairy sectors in Canada. And this is important for your listeners to understand. You have two dairy sectors in Canada. You have east of Toronto and west of Toronto. So east of Toronto is Eastern Ontario, Quebec, and the Atlantic. Smaller farms, inefficient, cost a lot of money to produce milk and dairy fat. Okay. So they're small, and it's all about fair price. West of Toronto, and I visited many farms west of Toronto, larger farms, efficient farms, and it's all about volume and competitiveness. Okay. Now, the East is making dairy more expensive for everyone. Okay. If you are to harmonize the allocation of quotas nationally, all of the smaller farms would disappear, and all the milk and butterfat would go west. So prices would drop. Our dairy products would become cheaper. Milk would become cheaper, but Quebec would lose all of its quotas. Do you think that Quebec wants to lose all of its quotas?
Nope.
That's the problem.
So basically what you're saying is that the government is profiting from it's controlling it. Boards are profiting from it. Consumers are paying higher because it's not a free market, like a higher price because it's not a free market. We have the farmers that are having to dump milk that they could sell because they have quotas.
And by the way, the milk that was dumped, you paid for it, by the way. This is the difference between
it's baked into the Cartel
and America.
The quota price, right?
And to add insult to injury, we're subsidizing our dairy farmers.
Of course we are.
Okay, they call it compensation because we ratified a deal with the Americans. $1.7 billion is given back to dairy farmers. Now, why is this so important for farming in Canada? Because now you have a overcapitalized sector inflating the farmland prices. Farmland prices are going up because the dairy folks have too much money. They're buying land. That's all they can do with their money. So the beef guys, the pork guys, anyone else in the free market are having a harder time scaling up because dairy is making things more expensive for everyone. So for 9,500 farms that we have in Canada, dairy farms, it's actually affecting the ability for other sectors, over 100,000 farms, to grow and scale up and compete.
Is it, it sounds, I'm just going to take this, and don't worry about the swear words because this is the type of show that we are, but basically Squirrel Nuts, which is one of our regulars, is saying, fuck Quebec, free the dairy farmers. And it's unfortunate because I think you can feel this. I'm from Montreal, but I spend half my time in the US and I travel a lot. I believe that is the same for you, but we do have a tendency to fuck shit up for whole Canada. And it's not just dairy.
Quebec wants, Quebec
oil and gas is the same thing. We really screw Alberta.
So when you look at the history of supply management, so under dairy, it started in 1972. Who was the prime minister in 1972?
Oh, the father.
Trudeau.
Wasn't that the father?
Yeah.
Trudeau father.
Pierre.
Right.
Pierre,
and so in those days, and I think your audience needs to appreciate that. So in 1972, the Canadian School of Thought, So it's an economic school that really pushes government intervention. Because in those days, in 1972, we had too much milk in Canada. We were dumping milk all over the place. So Eugene Welland, the Minister of Agriculture at the time, said, you know what, enough dumping. We want to offer a fair price to everyone, and we'll set up a supply management scheme. Now, in 1972, there was a lot of support for it economically, and it actually made sense to stabilize the system. But 53 years later, he has become a political weapon against the Canadian population and against Donald Trump as well, against anybody really. That's what changed. And that change was spearheaded by the boards, not the dairy farmers, but the boards. And that's how things got wrong. I'd say probably mid 90s, when the world started to focus more on free trade, global trades.
Yep.
That's when our system became obsolete. It needed to go. So New Zealand got rid of it. UK got rid of it. Europe got rid of it. Korea got rid of it. Austria got rid of it. There's only one left, and that's good old Canada.
I know you had to go at 1, but Rob has one question for you. So if you have a few minutes to dedicate to Rob.
He's a liberal, so sure.
It's all about feelings and triggering. Just so you know, but
I'm not,
he has a
not
question
that kind
for
of
you
not that kind of liberal.
Are you still with the NDP? Are you still with the NDP?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
I love when our guests rip into Rob too.
I mean, we don't need to go down this whole rabbit hole, but I actually voted for Poilievre just because I looked at 10 years of liberal economic performance, 1% growth over 10 years. I just said you can't reward this. You can't incentivize this in a democratic system. But that's a whole other story. My question was, we talked about that video that we saw. I'm not sure if you actually saw it, but it was a farmer who was dumping 30,000 liters of milk.
His name is Jerry Eugen from Ontario. Oh yeah, I saw it. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, given the politics of supply management, do you think that guy, did he get a late night call from someone saying, do you think he had the police showing up because of threat? Like, do you think the other dairy farmers, or certainly the board, were not happy? Like, is that a dirty little secret that this kind of dumping is going on?
Have you seen him since?
No, that's right. Yeah, he's got Epstein.
I mean, that's how it works. So he outed the system.
Yeah,
and of course he got visits. Absolutely, so got by the board.
Were you shocked when you saw that someone?
Well, if you go back to my X feed, I think the day after the video came out, and I said, this is probably the most courageous thing I've seen in Canada in many, many years.
Wow.
And you're looking at this guy for the very last time.
Because I shouldn't be laughing, but yeah, wow.
No, but this was serious. I mean, I do applaud. I commend the guy for doing what he did.
He knew.
Of course he did. Of course. Yeah. Now, he was, if you look at some of the feeds, he was treated like crap. He was called an incompetent dairy farmer. He should be jailed for what he did. He's misinforming the public. I mean, I mean,
those mafia comparisons kind of fit in some of this behavior.
I can assure you, he's still alive and he's still operating his farm. Yeah. He can't speak anymore.
He's not talking anymore.
Yeah, he was, and so nobody else will be talking. For
nice dairy farm you got here. Be a shame if something happened to it.
I appreciate you talking about this, and I know I'm going to be annoying because we have some commenters, and this is something that I'm very healthy. I'm very careful about what I eat, and this is one thing I don't understand in Canada. And I'd like Sylvie's asking, what's your opinion on raw milk being illegal in Canada? Do you have an opinion on this? Is that something you can talk about, or you don't want to have visits?
Well, very briefly, this is certainly pushed by the boards. The boards don't want. You see. So a lot of people are claiming let's end supply management because dairy prices are too high. That's not the right reason why we need to reform the system. The right reason is innovation. There's just no supply management allows farmers to produce what we need. Now, the key here is that we produce the same shit. I'm sorry. It's the same thing because you're paid as a farmer to do this and this and this and that, and everyone's equal. Everyone has to produce the same product for the Canadian public without recognizing that Canadians have different needs, like wanting raw milk. 9 to 10% of Canadians would buy raw milk on a regular basis. I lived in Austria for a year with my family a few years ago. You can actually buy raw milk from a vending machine, for God's sake. In Canada, it's forbidden. There's lots of things that are forbidden. We have a plant in Kingston, Ontario that was built by China to process our own milk and make baby formula. That was actually subsidized partially by you and I. I'm not making this up. It's called Canada Royal Milk. Look it up. This is something you cannot make up. It's why do we need China to build a plant right here in our own backyard? Because farmers do not care about innovation. They do not care about needs that Canadians have, like baby formula, like raw milk and other things.
It's a shame because I have a newborn and my wife is not producing enough milk right now to be
How much are you paying for your baby formula?
I actually know. I was at Walmart this morning after the gym picking up formula, and you're even on sale. It was on sale, plus we had a $10 off because somebody gave it to us. But 900 gram, you're probably looking at $60.
So
That's
go
insane.
online,
Madness.
look up Canada Royal Milk. You'll be able to buy baby formula, okay, for probably $41, $42 for a can. Okay, cheap. But that baby formula was made by a Chinese company right here.
But here in Canada.
Right here in Canada.
That's insane. And that's not on our shelves. That's not in the stores.
No, you can only buy it online.
That is crazy.
And the quality is the same.
Surely you can understand why some people want this system gone. You know, even
but how much of your audience, how many people that are listening in right now didn't know about Canada Royal Milk? My guess is that most people did not know about it.
I suspect.
Why? Because 100%. The media, and this is part of the board's influence, you know, they spent $150 million in marketing and advertising. Do you think that CBC and CTV Global have an interest in covering stories that actually would make the dairy farmers look bad?
Wow. So are you? Are they familiar with you? Like, are you on the radar screen? I'm assuming you're somewhat of a persona non grata to the boards because you speak freely about this. So should we be concerned for your safety? Is what I'm saying.
You're funny.
What I'm asking.
You're very funny. Hey, listen, if there is an event, so I this fall I'll be on stage 17 times. So I give talks all over the world. But if a conference is sponsored by the Dairy Farmers of Canada, I'm never invited.
Funny how that works, eh?
There's only one exception in Canada, and that's the National Coffee Association Conference in Toronto. The Dairy Farmers are the main sponsor, and they absolutely want me on that stage. And so, But if the Dairy Farmers of Canada are sponsors of an event, they do not want me there.
That's this has been a fascinating conversation, Sylvain. Just a couple comments here. Therese says, would love to see Dr. Sylvain back on the show. Have never heard of him. Tammy here says she's a longtime follower on X of Dr. Charlebois. Love his take and insights. Great job getting him on the show. Thanks to the food professor. So just the audio we're getting. I'm not sure if you're able to see in the bottom right.
That's the one. That's it. Nourish. That's the one made by Canada Royal Milk.
And not available to us. Look at that price, $34.
It is literally half the price because what I bought this morning for $55 was on sale, $8 sale. Plus, I had a $10 coupon that was given to us when we were at the hospital. So it's literally half the price, and it's about the same size.
Yeah,
wow.
I'm gonna have to look into.
You just saved Nico a lot of money. So man,
there you go. Thanks, China.
Well, Sylvain,
I'll be thanking China, I'm sure.
Thanks
in the next couple of years.
For coming on the show.
All right.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Really appreciate. Hopefully, we'll get you back. We'll talk about geopolitics next time. But I'll keep in touch with you. I definitely want to have you back on. But we really appreciate your time and enjoy your cottage.
Take care, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Great guest.
Well, there you have it, man.
Great guess.
Yeah, I had a feeling it'd be interesting. So if he disappears, he was in the right state of mind. He was
Yeah,
not
yeah.
feeling
I
suicidal.
was waiting for him to say, if I disappear, I did not
I
kill
thought
myself.
that's where he was going with this too.
Yeah. If I disappear, I did not kill myself. But yeah, he's a great guest. He knows his shit inside and out. I like that he didn't let us lead him anywhere. Like he's just said his own things. Yep. Intelligent guy and also just a funny guy. I think he fits in well in the show. Love to have him.
And you know what I loved about this though is I did it on purpose to say something stupid when he was down before the show. I do it on purpose. He started laughing. I'm like, okay, cool.
We got him. Yeah,
he's gonna be a good guy. And I made sure to show Squirrel Nuts' post where it said "fuck Quebec" because as a guy from Quebec, I'm like, yeah, fuck Quebec indeed. And you can tell that he feels the same. Like he literally admitted that the only reason the cartel is so powerful is because Quebec
once he said that, he said it's because of Quebec's dairy, I was like, oh, okay, now it makes perfect sense to me. Quebec, what Quebec wants, Quebec gets. That's how.
Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you enjoyed having the food processor, and now I said it on purpose, but the food professor on the show. He'll come back. But again, this is something we talked about the dairy farmers. I did some research. I found the biggest voice in Canada. I contacted him. He showed up on the show. We didn't know him. This was the first time I spoke to him over email, but I had never spoken to him before. And this is a type of show that we run. So if you guys propose some topics, if you guys propose some people you'd like on the show, I'm an Excel's guy. I will find them. I will get them on the show. Man, I almost had fucking Sean Foyt on the show. I still had a conversation with his team yesterday, and they're like, thank you for trying again, but he really cannot handle it right now. I'm like, it's okay, but you can't blame me for trying. But the point is that I will do.
No worries, I'll call next week. I'll contact next week.
I didn't say it, but this is exactly what I meant. So if you missed it, we just had a conversation with the food professor about the dairy cartel. Very interesting stuff. If you missed it, make sure to rewind. I will chop it off tonight and I'll post it as a separate video. So it's just a conversation with him. But all to say that we'll definitely have him back on. Thanks for the comments. If you're enjoying the show and you're on next, make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to share the stream as Squirrel Nut does every single show. And if you want to join the conversation, so all the messages that you're seeing scrolling down here, this is all on YouTube. So make sure to join at the Poli Orphans on YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment. And if you think that what Rob and I are doing is important, if independent media that's not backed by any political party, we're just two guys doing this 2 hours a day. If you think that's important to have this type of space where the left can talk to the right and we can all disagree, agree, but we all do it politely, support us, $2.99 a month. And I know there's a lot of new faces on the show, so make sure to like. If you're listening to the show right now, like. Even if you don't like it, dislike it. I know, but I want to know. If you don't like what we do, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I'm telling you right now.
Well,
so
I mean,
like, dislike.
after the show, we'll get dislikes. You'll be like, oh, sweet, we got 20 likes and 5 dislikes. Great. Love to see it. Yeah. I mean, don't care if you like or dislike as long as you're listening. That's all that matters.
Yep.
And speaking of becoming a member, I forgot to mention this. As Joe Strom says, New Dog Productions got himself a badge. Welcome, mate. He's the newest orphan. Thank you for that, sir. If you recall, I think he must have done it when we weren't live because we would have seen it live. But he is a new member here. But as Nico said, guys, that's the best way to support us. Of course, like and share the stream for sure. But if you support what we're doing, if you want to be part of building a community here in independent media, then that's the best way to do it, is to become a member for the low price of $2.99.
Let's jump into the next subject. This is something that I did a lot of research on this morning, and this is unfortunate because those are numbers I did not know. I did not realize how bad they were. But there's a video that's been going viral on pretty much every single social media that I'm on, at least, and I'm on 7 of them, where an Ontario family is suing their hospital and staff after their son's death. And that it's going viral right now. So here's global news speaking about it, and then I will share with you how bad this actually is.
Yeah, it's Coronation Park, I think.
16 years old, a son, an older brother, and loyal friend. Finley Vanderwerken's life is now a collection of memories closely guarded by his parents.
I still hear his laughter. We do what we can to keep his memory alive, but we miss him so much.
In early February of 2024, a migraine kept Finley home from school, but his condition got worse.
He was crying out in pain a lot. He didn't know what was going on, but he knew it was not normal. So I drove as fast as I could.
Hazel took her son to Oakville Trafalgar Memorial Hospital just outside of Toronto. She says he would not see a doctor for hours despite telling the nurses Finley was not doing well.
When I went up at 3 a.m, they said, well, we only have one doctor. But there's another one coming in at 4. I don't know where that one doctor was.
Finley was triaged at almost exactly 10 o'clock, and he wasn't actually seen by a physician until 6:22 in the morning.
According to the statement of claim about what happened that morning, the doctor said Finley was experiencing sepsis pneumonia with hypoxia, and he was at high risk for acute deterioration. His oxygen levels, which hospital records show had been dropping throughout the night, were a concern.
I remember just saying to Finley, Finley, we got to get, we're looking at this screen that's got his oxygen saturation. I'm like, we have to get it up. And his breathing was so shallow by this point. And he said, I can't do deep breaths. It hurts too much.
Wow.
I said, you got to try.
Finley eventually needed to be intubated and also suffered a cardiac arrest. Finley was taken to Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto, but it was too late, as he was then in hypotensive shock.
We had to make the decision to take Finley off life support.
Or risk that the situation would escalate even more and he would wake up and die in a lot of pain.
After Finley died, hospital staff did meet with the family to review what happened. In a written statement, officials said, like many hospitals, we are seeing more patients presenting with increasingly complex health conditions and comorbidities. This places significant demand on our emergency departments, patient flow, bed availability, and the patient experience. The family has since launched a lawsuit alleging in part the healthcare team failed to monitor Finley, have appropriate protocols in place for his treatment, or inform the family of the true nature of his condition.
The experts are quite clear and unequivocal that this was a treatable condition, and had he been treated promptly, there is no doubt in my mind that he would still be here today. He was triaged as a second highest level in triage, and the guidelines say that 95% of the time they should be seen within 15 minutes.
The hospital says they are making changes to track data more closely, refining their on-call coverage criteria protocols, and implementing other tools and working groups to improve patient flow and communication. But the family wants more awareness so something like this never happens again.
But we feel that we have been let down and we cannot trust the medical system as it is right now.
Catherine Ward, Global News.
So this is the story. But it gets worse. So I've done quite a few hours of research over this morning, because this is not an isolated incident. Like, this is brutal. I can, as a brand new father, I cannot begin to fucking imagine what that family's going through. But I started looking this morning, and I literally went down the rabbit hole of looking at what's happening behind closed doors that people are not talking about. And I kind of did a carousel for my Instagram with all the information, and then I'll explain what she meant, what the lawyer was talking about when it comes to how triage works. And guys, just so you know, I'm trying to find somebody that is part of the system. I found someone. I'm going to try to call them today or tomorrow to see if they can come on the show. He's very outspoken. He's a doctor. He's very outspoken about this to explain what I found. So you should be. 100%. 100%. It's just, I went through it as just a guy that does a shit ton of research as a independent media, but I would love to have an expert, just like we did with the food professor, to come up and say, are we wrong? Are we right? What are we missing? What's going on? But here is something I did this morning, and I just want to share this because of the statistics. So it's estimated right now by a 2024 report by the Canadian Journal of Emergency Medicine. It's estimated that between 8 and 15,000 Canadians die yearly in overcrowded emergency rooms. So basically,
Hold on, is this just in Canada?
Yeah, this is just in Canada, but that's nothing, bro. This is just, give it a second. This is just the tip of the iceberg. So the situation that you just heard, this is 8 to 15,000 a year because of overcrowded emergency rooms. That's one. Second, 15,474 Canadians died in 2023-2024 alone while waiting for surgeries, scan. But it's estimated by secondstreet.org on an article that they published on January 15, 2025, that it's possibly double. So it's somewhere between 28,000 to 31,000. And that you add to the number that I just said. So 8 to 15,000 Canadians die estimatedly per year, because that number is not published. There's a company out there that went, and there's an organization out there, that went out there and looked at the numbers individually. That's how they know. That's why they say it's worse, because what they found is actually worse by asking the provincial governments of each province in Canada and tabulating. But 8 to 15,000 a year.
I thought there was no way.
Oh, bro.
I thought there was no way when I looked at those numbers.
It gets worse, man. It gets worse. So 8 to 15,000 die waiting for an ER. Then you have something like at least 15,000 patients that die. That was just in 2024, waiting for a surgery or a scan. So that means that they've already been, either they've been to the emergency and they're waiting to the next step, or this is normally when it comes to general practitioner. You saw your general practitioner, it's like, you need to CT scan, you need to go this surgery. While they're waiting, they die. So they're saying the low number is 15,474, but it's estimated that it's closer between 28,000 to 31,000. Now, they're saying they have the numbers to prove that since 2018, 2019, 76,596 Canadians have died on the waiting list for a surgery or a scan. So that number there, you need to add it 8 to 15,000 every year on top of that number. So you're starting to look at some very fucked up numbers. And these are the number provided by Fraser Institute. I've talked about those numbers before, but right now, as per 2023, 2022, or no, that was 2023. Actually, hold on. Fraser Institute, December 12, 2024, Waiting Your Turn is the name of the report that you can find. But they estimate that it takes 30 weeks to see a specialist after seeing a general practitioner, up 322% since 1993. It used to be 9.3 weeks in 1993, went up in 2019 to 20.9, and now it's at 30. Right now, I looked at the latest numbers because I've published those numbers before, but the numbers that I had published a couple of months ago were 9,200. But it turns out that as per the estimation based on the Canadian Institute for Health Information, this year our free healthcare system will cost $381 billion, which is about $9,500 per capita. So per person in Canada that is taking advantage of our healthcare, $9,500 to supply to our free healthcare. And just to put it into perspective, we are spending 30% of our income tax, the equivalent of 30% of all the money that is captured by the federal government on your income tax is spent on our healthcare. Yet we have thousands of Canadians dying in the ER, and we have thousands of Canadians dying on waiting lists. And think about it, those numbers are only going to get worse because our population is aging. And what are we doing? We keep on bringing immigrants, foreigners in on a system that's already fucking broken.
Tax. Yeah.
So, man, if you thought those numbers, I did not realize those fucking numbers. This is just me this morning. I was up at 3 and I started doing some research and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, you texted me at 4 a.m.
Yeah, and I had been up for 1 o'clock. The baby was fed, I was shaved, I was showered, I was good to go. So all to say that those numbers, I tabulated myself. I have all the sources. I named my sources in what I provide. I still have them. So those numbers are real, and they're the lower end of estimates. I never use the higher end. I always use the lower end. But those numbers are fucked. We're talking about 30,000 people a year, 45,000 people a year die because of our... You know, the joke to say that, have you considered MAID? It's not a fucking joke. It literally is not a fucking joke. And for the people out there that don't know this, it takes less time to get approved for MAID than it does to get a government-provided psychologist. Just saying. So
when I saw those numbers, I thought that's got to be wrong. But
you should know better.
I looked.
I do.
No, I looked it up, and that is correct. And that's fucking insane. It's what we were talking about yesterday. Broadly speaking, I do support a universal healthcare system, but that's on the assumption that it fucking works.
Mm-hmm.
There's a social contract that Canadians have with their government. It is, yes, okay, we understand we are taxed to shit, but we expect something in return. Yes, you can tax the shit out of us, but we expect quality healthcare. We expect good infrastructure. We expect good roads, good education system, and we're not getting any of that. So, like I said, I am broadly speaking in support of universal healthcare, but again, that's assuming that it works. And stuff like this makes you wonder, is this even working? Now, I looked up something else as you were talking. I was like, just out of curiosity, because these numbers are going to blow your mind too. How many people die in American ERs? And the numbers aren't quite as strong, but I was able to find a study in a 4-year period from 2016 to 2019. There were 34,000 deaths in 4 years. So that's what? Divide that by 4. That's like 7,000 a year. So they have less than half of the deaths in our ER overall, despite having 10 times the fucking population. As Dr. Charlebois was just saying, there's this idea that Canadians are morally superior to Americans. And I think the healthcare system is a big part of that. We have this idea that we do it right and they do it wrong. And you look at those numbers and it certainly makes you wonder if fucking 8,000 people a year are dying in the ER in a country of 350 million. And we have up to 15,000 a year dying in a country of 40 million. That's a pretty strong data point that maybe we're the ones that are wrong.
So here are some things that are worth mentioning, because if you remember, the lawyer in the video that I showed was talking about treating time and triage times. So there's 5 levels. So here's what's supposed to happen in Canada. So in Canada, you are supposed to see a nurse, a triage nurse, somebody that's, when you show up, they ask you some questions and they're going to figure out your level of emergency. There's 5 levels of emergency that I'll show you in a second. But normally you want it to be, it says that it's between 10 to 15 minutes. So the median is about 12 minutes that it takes throughout Canada in order to see a practitioner. To see just the triage, to receive your level. Mm-hmm. There's 5 levels, right? There's level 1, which is resuscitation. It's, imagine somebody that's been shot, somebody that's unconscious, somebody that you literally need to help right now or else they're going to die. But in the video, they talked about level 2, which is called emergent. But it is somebody that, if not treated immediately, could die. They're not They haven't been shot. They're not in their last breath, but they're fucking getting there. Then you have level 3, which is urgent. They call them serious but stable conditions. Then you have level 4, that is condition that needs medical attention but are not time critical. Literally, that's probably you broke an arm type of deal. And then you have the non-urgent, which I'd be very curious to see in a
sprain ankle.
No, but in a system where it's free, that people don't have to pay, there's a lot of hypochondriacs out there.
Yes.
So that's another problem that we have.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That definitely needs to be addressed. But for the sake of this conversation, the lawyer said that he was, my apologies, assigned level 2, which means that he needs to see a nurse he needs to see a doctor within 15 minutes. 15 minutes. And she mentioned the 95%. Basically what she said for CTAS level 2, which is what he was, the CTAS guideline recommends a physician assessment within 15 minutes within 95% of the time. But real world data suggests a median wait time of 1 to 2 hours for 50% of the patients, with 90% of the patients being seen within 3 to 4 hours in most of the cases. So this is what you're seeing right now. So you have a young man that should have been in front of a doctor, not in front of a triage nurse, in front of a doctor within 15 minutes, ended up waiting hours to see a doctor. And by the time he saw a doctor, he was sent to the child hospital, and he was put on life support, and they pulled the plug. So basically, our system dropped him. He is dead 100% because of our system. But keep in mind, guys, it is estimated that between 8 to 15,000 people every year die from waiting in a fucking ER. 15,000 Canadians. That is fucking insane. That's insane.
And you don't hear anything about it. You don't hear anything about it.
And this is and the reason I wanted to talk about it is because this is a non-partisan issue. I don't hear Poilievre calling this shit out. Neither am I seeing Carney speaking about this shit. No party is touching that one with a fucking 10-foot pole. Yet 15,000 people, 8 to 15 die in the ER, and 15,000 to 28,000 die every year on fucking waiting lists. We're starting to talk about 15 to 40-ish thousand people every year. And that doesn't count malpractice. That doesn't count everything else that could happen while you're at the hospital. No. This is just waiting. You are dying because you waited too long.
So as we were watching that story, there's a couple things that jumped out to me. One was, when the mother was discussing, they went in, and what did they say? We only have one doctor in, but another will be on at 6:30. Go get that fucking doctor. Where was he? Was he in a smoke break or something? He's there. My son's dying. The other one was, and you kind of hinted at it there a second ago. They moved him to the sick kids in Toronto, and then the parents go in there and they decide to pull him off the plug. But it makes you wonder. They even said he might wake up and be in extreme pain, and it makes you wonder if wasn't said to them to almost manipulate them into getting off the plug, because obviously in a socialized medicine system, someone on life support for a long period of time is extremely expensive, and maybe the doctors are pushing people, and we need to know if that's what's going on. Is that true, what they're telling the doctors? And the third thing, and this is kind of what Trevor Benson said when he says, how many from the shot? Do you remember when the hospital administrator said something like all hospitals, we are seeing an increase in complex medical conditions and blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking, is there any curiosity to why that is? Why, when did this start? Did this start in 2020, 2021? Why is there an increase in complex medical conditions? Is anybody concerned about this whatsoever, or are you just accepting it as it is what it is? What can we do? Makes you wonder.
Do you want to get your mind blown?
Yep.
Let me blow your mind right here. I'm just writing this because I did not realize this as we were talking. I'm like, how the fuck did I not talk about this? Here are the main causes of death in Canada. Those are the numbers published by Statistic Canada in 2023. Around 85,000 people die of cancer, 57,000 die of heart disease. If we look at the low numbers, 8,000 plus 15,000 that I showed, you're talking 23,000. Waiting to get healthcare is the third largest reason for people dying in Canada. The third leading cause of death in Canada is waiting on our fucking broken system. But if you look at the upper numbers, you're talking 15,000 plus a 28 to 31. It is almost tied with the second.
And the number, those numbers are hidden within these numbers because all those people are in this list right here, but they're not listed as waiting for healthcare. They're listed as what they died for, regardless of if it's preventable or not. Yeah, I mean,
imagine that those people are all from. I'm ready to bet that all of those people are part of this right here. They're all going to be part of the top 5 for sure. They're all going to be part because they're emergencies and they ended up dying because they didn't get care soon enough. So that means they're either cancer, heart disease. Obviously, they're not accidents, but they are disease of some type. So you know that they're top 5 in there. So chances are, if you remove those people from the category that they are identified at and you put them in the real category that they should be in, it will lower those numbers, and there's a category that's going to pop up with 23 to 45,000 people in it. So this is the reality in fucking Canada.
Well,
the third reason of death is waiting on a system that is fucking broken, and our solution is to bring in more people to take advantage of that system.
I mean, as you say,
fucking brilliant shit.
This should not be a partisan issue. If you're on the right, obviously you're gonna be concerned with this because this is evidence that the system is broken. But even if you're on the left and you are supportive of universal healthcare, you should be very concerned about this and you should be speaking up because this just makes the case that maybe we don't have it right. Maybe this is not the way to go. At least be speaking up, and if only to say we need to do better, we need to fix something here because whatever it is, this. When you look at those numbers, it's hard to make the case that the system is working.
It's insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
I did not know those numbers until this morning. Now it's something that I will drill in, day out. Every few days, I'm going to be talking about this because this is insane to me. This is absolutely fucking insane to me.
That is fucking wild. Yeah. I thought there was no way those numbers are real, but yeah, they are.
I'm gonna find, like I said, I'm gonna find somebody to come on the show to just address this and tell us if we're on crack, what the fuck's going on here, why is this happening, what's the solution, and is there a solution? Is our social service, that is our healthcare service, even possible anymore?
Is it fixable? Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think it is. Personally, I don't think it's a problem because it's been a problem for decades. It's just that it's never addressed. It's never a main point. I don't remember them talking about this at the debate between the leaders, just saying that. Yet, what are the major problems in Canada right now? Immigration, economy, healthcare, we have the mentally ill running the asylum and the trans agenda. Yep. And then what's the fifth? Our housing crisis. That right there. Those are probably our top 5 problems right now. And that one's never addressed. We don't talk about it. We shove it under the carpet and we just completely avoid it. But it is insane. Absolutely insane. And I don't know what the solution is. I don't claim to know what the solution is. I just know there's a fucking problem that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, I agree. That'd be good. I'd like to talk to someone from inside the system and get their take on it.
Yeah, I'll find someone.
Because I mean, neither you nor me are really qualified to make those calls. But But certainly, I'd like to hear from someone inside the system. Like, how do you think you could fix this?
The thing is my job is not necessarily to find a solution. My job is to identify a problem, find experts, and then have them tell us what the solution is, because I just want to open that conversation. I just want to be able to have, just like Sylvain today, I want to be able to have people show up and just say, are we crazy? Are we alarmists? Is there not a problem and we're just inventing one? Or is there really a problem? Do people understand that there's a problem? If so, why the fuck is it not fixed, and how do we fix it?
Yeah, I mean, that's I think that's one of the great things about the show is that we get those people on here,
100%.
Yeah, who are experts and who can tell us, because neither of us are. We have our opinions, but obviously we defer to the experts on that one, as long as they're not compromised experts.
I have a very informed opinion, but I'm not there to find the solution because I'm not the expert. I'm just very good at doing research. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
But we'll try to make it a bit funnier, because I know I saw some comments from Sylvie saying that those are hard stories to watch, and I fucking understand it. I absolutely understand that. But we need to talk about it. We need to be able to talk about those stories, because those are insane. Those shouldn't happen. But it's all to say that if you think it only happens a few times a year, the truth of the matter is that this happens at least 8,000 times a year. This is fuck. This is absolutely fuck.
Yeah, those numbers are not acceptable. A country that's 40 million people, you can't have 40 or 35, whatever the fuck, dying in emergency rooms.
No. Talking about professionals, I wanted to talk about Doug Ford, the professional flip-flopper. So it's going to be a bit of a funnier video because it's fucking Doug Ford. But remember last week he told us that that Ontario will start issuing their own work permits for asylum seekers. Well, turns out that he's not going to do that. And here is what he had to say about this.
I don't want to take the responsibility off the federal government, but in saying that, if you have a pulse
Let me rewind
and you're
this.
Healthy, I don't want to take the responsibility off the federal government, but in saying that, I don't want to take the responsibility off the federal government, but in saying that, I don't want to take the responsibility off the federal government, but in saying that, if you have a pulse and you're healthy, you need to be working. You come to our country. First, they have to go through the system. So I'll give you an example how the system's getting worse through the federal government, not better. They say they issued 70,000 work permits. Well, we have 90,000 people coming in, and altogether there's about 139,000. David, you have the numbers down better. I think across the country you're mentioning over 280,000 backlogged. I'm very concerned, which the Prime Minister never mentioned to me, about cutting off the funding in literally a month in September for everyone in the hotels. I have quite a few asylum seekers in the hotel in our area and across, especially in Niagara and other areas. The federal government has to go in there and find out who's eligible. The whole system has to have integrity. Who's eligible, who's not. The people that are there, that are sitting there collecting, we're collecting welfare, they're collecting free schooling, free healthcare and everything. I want them working. And if we can support the federal government, maybe they don't have the capacity to handle it, we're willing to do that. I just want people to be out there working. Do I want the whole immigration system on the shoulders of the province? No. Would I like to be treated the same way as Quebec? Yes. And so would every other province and territory.
I really want to know who's that guy in the background that just agrees with Ford. Like, talk about a yes man. All he's doing is like, yep. I agree. Yeah. Just like Sylvie says.
Great work, sir.
Yeah,
you got her, sir.
Ford. Ford.
You could hear him wheezing in between sentences. But bro, Doug, what jobs are they gonna work?
Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons is not gonna find job. It's not gonna find
everybody. They're gonna fund everybody. I mean, 208,000 asylum seekers. Is that what he's talking about?
He said he mentioned 238,000 asylum seekers currently in Canada.
And he's worried that they're turning off the tap. Like, I don't.
Uh,
that guy's. I'm more concerned with not turning off the tap.
I'm more concerned about them still being here. Send them back. If we cannot afford, this is the fallacy. Oh, we can't afford to keep on paying their bills. Okay, send them back. What the fuck is the problem?
You don't even have, honestly, cut off welfare for non-citizens. Offer $1,000 or even $5,000. You're still going to save a shit ton of money, and free plane ticket home. They can go home and live like kings for 6 months for $5,000. They'll jump on that. You can't tell me that there are 280,000 legitimate asylum seekers. Look, I'm not a monster, man. If someone's legitimately fleeing like war, their home was destroyed, yeah, okay, we can take those cases. But the fact of the matter is, legitimate asylum claims should probably be like 1,000, maybe 5,000-10,000. This 280,000. You know that there's abuse of the system. That's not, the asylum system was not designed to flee poverty. It's not. It's unfortunate if your country is poor. Make it work, man.
So it's worse than what Cheesecake Doug Ford just said. As of April 2025, there are approximately 470,000 asylum claimers in Canada, or protected person and related groups in Canada, marking the highest number on record. This figure reflects the total number of individuals who have submitted valid asylum claim, including those waiting processing by the Immigration and Refugee Board, those granted protected person status, and others who may have become permanent resident. 470 asylum claimants right now. What the flying
and you wonder, and as Cheesecake Doug says, they're getting free healthcare. You wonder why 15,000 people are dying. Like, this isn't, of course, the left will call you racist. It's nothing to do with their skin color. It's that their bodies are going to use healthcare. There's only so much resources to go around. This is nonsense, man. Tony G, Quebec is a welfare mom with 12 baby dads supporting her to go clubbing every night and sleep all day. Well, yeah, she's got the 12 baby dads supporting her while she's also on government assistance as well.
Of course, with 5 comorbidities. You forgot the 5 comorbidities.
Of course.
What's going on, Tony? What's going on, bro?
Here. Yeah, great. Good to see you, Tony. This shouldn't be hard, as
170,000. This show's blowing my mind every day because I do a shit ton of research, and as we're talking, I'm doing more research. 470? Are you fucking kidding me? I thought that 230-ish that Cheesecake
sounded crazy. That sounded crazy.
Twice. It's more than twice what Cheesecake said.
That's going to run us billions, if not tens of billions every year. If we're paying for their housing, we're paying for their healthcare, we're paying for their I'm sure we're giving them spending money. As Trevor says, how many free countries did they pass through before coming here? Refugee claims mean imminent threat, not economic reasons. That's bang on. I think people seem to think that because you come from a poor country, that's a valid asylum claim. No, it is not. It is not. It's like if you're a fucking the Uyghurs, or however you pronounce that the Chinese are
they're called Uyghurs. You should know that.
Not Uyghurs. UIYGER, whatever. The Chinese are ethnically cleansing. What's the ones the Syrians just started ethnically cleansing, the Druze or whatever. If you're the Yazidi Christians that ISIS is trying to wipe out, yes, those are valid asylum claims. Coming from a poor neighborhood in India or a poor neighborhood in South America is not a valid asylum claim. And I'd love to see what these people, or being LGBTQ down in America is not a valid fucking asylum claim. No. If you're just a South American illegal immigrant and you in America and you come up to knock on Canada's door and say, I need asylum because they're going to deport me, that's not a valid fucking asylum claim. Is there anyone assessing these claims to even see if they're valid or not? Or are they just all getting in? Because that's a scam right there. They know it's going to be a 2-year wait. So even if they get the claim denied, they're still living here high on the hog for 2 years. If they're smart, they're banking the money, and then they go back to their own country and live like kings because they fucking You know, the GDP is $5,000 a year where they're from. That's not what it's for.
So here, as per the government, and you guys know me, I want to use the lowest numbers I can find. As per the Office of the Parliament's Budget Officer, official Canadian government website, it says here that the average asylum seeker costs $16,500 a year. Let's say that this is true.
I don't buy that.
I don't believe it for a fucking second, because even as Sylvie said, 80,000 a year. I've seen those videos.
That's the number
too.
I see.
But you know what? Let's go again. I always try to play devil's advocate here. So 16,500 times 470 is what we said.
Man, that's gonna be a big number.
That's 7.7 billion fucking dollars.
We could help out Zelensky twice.
Bro, that's more money for Ukraine.
We could give Ukraine twice as much. Oh my god. And then like that really grinds your gears, doesn't it? And it's one thing if we were all doing well and the economy was kicking ass, but it's not, guys. What the fuck are we doing here? And frankly, you know, I see some comments in there. Sylvie's like, Robbie's coming onto our side. You can
we
have
cookies, Robbie. We have cookies.
One of us. Listen, you should. Liberals should be fucking furious about this too, because all this shit takes away from the actual social safety net that you can give to Canadians. This should not be a partisan issue. Like, whether you obey laws or not, whether you respect order or you want your country to thrive, should not be right-wing coded. This is fucking nonsense, man.
Insane fucking tea.
No. I understand, Sylvie. Even if the economy good, it wouldn't justify this BS. No, for sure. But it does make it even more
palatable.
Absurd. Yeah, exactly. And it makes it more absurd that the economy is doing shit.
So I want to go one more subject. We got 4 minutes. You got a choice. Do we talk about Pierre Poilievre or do we talk about the culture video I wanted to show? Either way.
I feel like the culture video that's probably longer, and we can push that till tomorrow because I don't think it's super.
It's not time sensitive. No.
Yep.
So
let's
just because our Sylvie's here and she does love to rip into Pierre Poilievre just the way I do. But at the same time, I'm going to show a video because he's basically the only guy talking about this, because I couldn't find anybody else that produced a video about this. Like, I saw articles, but let's talk about Pierre Poilievre. So it's been announced yesterday. I don't know if you read that, but there was more than 200 people that applied to be a candidate in his by-election in Alberta. And only 8 of them, the longest ballot committee indeed, and only 8 of them were actually representing a party. All the other ones are all independents. They're all just themselves, all represented by the same person. And this is interesting, but it turns out that Election Canada is kind of changing the way that they're doing things in order to make it easier. Well, easier. I don't know if it's going to be easier because, as we said before the show, Pierre Poilievre, if you're not French, you might fuck up his name. But let's listen to Mario tell us what the fuck is going on, because he's basically the only one talking about this right now.
So Elections Canada has heard us out, and they're changing the by-election for Pierre Poilievre's riding. Given the number and ridiculous amount of candidates that are available, you're going to be able to have a modified ballot where you write their name. So instead of circling who you want to go after in this 7-foot-long ballot, they're going to give you a list of who's available, and you write the name. As long as the intention of the name is correct, it'll count. You cannot write political affiliation. And they're saying, as always, there's going to be ballot integrity, and they're going to count in front of witnesses. You see, folks, if you speak out enough, if you contact them enough, if you take action, educate your friends how ridiculous.
Okay, I don't need to finish this, but basically, I just wanted to show the little explanation. And yes, Sylvie, I'm fully aware that he is a CPC supporter.
Dude's got better groomed eyebrows than any of my girlfriends I've ever had. And you notice that forehead there's not a tiniest wrinkle. Motherfucker's Botox to shit. But
either way, I, as much as he is backed by the Conservative Party, if I did not choose news out there, that means I couldn't talk about news. if I could not relay information that's provided
Well,
by
that
the
wasn't
news
opinion.
outlets out there,
That
was
wasn't
just
opinion. That was
no,
just fact.
exactly. That's why at the end I stopped it, because I don't need it. I don't need a sales pitch as to how we're changing the system, because clearly Poilievre ain't changing shit. But the point in the matter is that Election Canada is doing something now. Should they get involved in this shit? Should they just prevent people like the committee, the longest ballot committee? Should they just remove that? And
I don't know why they just didn't.
This is fucking insanity. The point in the matter is, I just wanted to show that they're changing something for the by-election to make sure Pierre Poilievre wins. I mean, to make it more constitutional. I mean, I don't know. They're just doing something. Let's just say they're doing something. Something is happening in Alberta right now.
It did clear up a question I had, assuming Mario was right there, where he said, as long as the intention is clear. So, because Poilievre is a weird name to spell. You could imagine, if this was going to be an excuse to throw out all sorts of Poilievre ballots because they put the I before the E or something, or they didn't have enough I's or whatever the fuck.
Like we said before the show, right? There's a registry that you can show, and I've showed it multiple times on this show, where all the rejected ballots per riding are counted. We don't know why they were rejected. Maybe it's a penis on the ballot. Maybe they just couldn't spell. They checked outside the line. But the point is that I want to see how many rejected ballots are there and compare it to the average of all the Canadian ridings during the last election. And I'm ready to bet that there's at least twice as much as the average just there. You know that Election Canada won't fix their own problems, their own mistake after admitting that they made a mistake. They're not making this to make it easier for Pierre Poilievre. This is the perfect opportunity for them to just, people can write his name. They signed outside the box. They just wrote conservative.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. But
we'll
keep an eye on it.
And we've talked about, we have a solution for this, and it's an easy one, and it would work. All rejected ballots should just be put on the internet, have a website. They don't even have to analyze them, because there are people out there on the internet who will analyze every single fucking one
100%.
and let us know if they're and then we
that
can go
from the beginning.
Yeah.
He'll analyze them.
Well, fuck's sake. All we do here is
that dude is awesome.
Just rip on people. Fuck. Yeah, it's funny because like you said, his voice matched his face.
Yeah, unlike a lot of broadcasters, his voice matched. When you see his face, you're like, makes sense.
Oh, yeah. That when I saw his face, that's what I did. Well, Jesus Christ. They hired this guy.
Yep.
It's the only white guy there is the DEI hire. He's like, this guy's obviously retarded. Let's just hire him.
And this is exactly why I'm not able to stream on TikTok.
Yeah, this is why we kicked off TikTok.
This is why I get banned. I host one show on TikTok, banned for 2 weeks. It's a shame, because retarded is such a great word.
It's such a great word. I'm surprised YouTube allows us to be honest.
Retard. It does, because we use it all the time.
Yeah. New Dog says if they would just simply remove the obviously fake names, the ballot would be smaller. Like, right? It's just so obvious. Like, Hugh Jass is probably not a legitimate candidate. You don't need to have him on the ballot, right? Fucking IP
no,
freely.
The question, what's the ratio towards the weight?
Plenty. Towards what?
What's the ratio? What's the ass to waist ratio?
The ass to waist ratio. Yes, that's what I'd vote for Hugh Jass. All right, guys. On that note, we're gonna pin it here. If you another excellent show, really good interview with the food professor / processor. If you didn't catch that, go back and watch that. It was a really cool deep dive into the dairy cartel, or supply management, as it's called. Guys, if you do want to support the show, please remember to like or share. But if you really want to support us, remember to become a member here on through YouTube. It's only $2.99 a month, and you will support the show. You will help build a community, and just support independent media if that's your thing. Other than that, guys, catch you later. We will see you tomorrow. Be safe, have fun, and we'll see you at noon Eastern time tomorrow.
Peace.